Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for the Sunday morning session on the journey of self-discovery. We'll be continuing our discussion on the topic which we had discussed in the previous session, the self and the bodies today, and conclude that topic. So before we start, let us offer our prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Himanande Hari Hari Bo. So we have been discussing on a very interesting topic since last session, the self and the bodies. This is actually a lecture Prabhupada has given in 1976 in Detroit, in America. And this is based on the lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a Vedic classic of more than 18,000 verses. Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the cream of all Vedic knowledge, essence of all the Vedic understanding, condensed in a very presentable manner for all the people of this present age to read and move forward in the journey of spiritual life. So in one of the discussions in the Bhagavatam, there's a nice point mentioned that it is talking about the dreaming state and the awakened state. Right? So we'll get into the details of discussion so that we have a proper track of what we are discussing. So all these discussions are happening by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, who has so mercifully given us these teachings in a very, very nice way, in a recorded manner, in form of his books, in form of his audio recordings and video recordings. But even now we can take inspiration every moment to move forward in our spiritual journey. So expressing our gratitude, let's move forward. So in the previous session, we discussed about what is known as dreaming versus awakened state. So as I was mentioning, there's a nice principle mentioned in the Bhagavata regarding our different states of our life. Right? When we are awakened or when we are active in our day life, we are doing so many things, so many activities, each of us. The same person, when he is asleep, then all his other activities which he was doing with his senses are all suspended. His body is lying on the bed and he goes into one more state of consciousness called dreaming state, wherein you as a person is there, but the situation, circumstances are different. Right? And this experience of awakened state and the dreaming state, we have been going on, or we have been going through this experience day in and day out. And many times we have experienced ourselves that what we do in the awakened state, it will be totally different and totally a different scenario, different situations, circumstances in the dreaming state. So like this, Bhagavatam points out, why is this happening? What is the reason? So the Bhagavatam says, actually, we as a living entity, as spirit soul, has taken a body now. And it is in different situations, it is identifying with the body, and in the awakened state, it is identifying with this body. I am a man, I am a woman, I belong to this particular community, this country, this is my profession, like this, I go on. And in dream state, I identify with one more type of a situation. That is the reality of life. So it is a very interesting topic with regard to our different states of consciousness with us. And next we discussed further that actually I am eternal. Right? In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna that Arjuna, you, me, and all the assembled kings on this battlefield were eternal, are presently eternal, and will be eternal in the future, which means Krishna speaks about past, present, and future. So our state of existence is eternal. But what is happening is we have been taking different bodies. Just like in our own life, you see, present life. We have begun our life with a small baby, then grew into a childhood, then further youthhood, adulthood. So like this, we have changed bodies constantly, changing our bodies. But I remember, at least in this life, my childhood, some of the incidents, in my youthhood, some incidents. Like this, I identify with that body. But a person from outside world who has no idea of my life, he may say, this is a child, this is a youth, this is an adult. You see. So this is the truth or the fact of life, that we are spirit souls. This is the first beginning lesson of Bhagavad Gita. We are spirit souls and we are accepting bodies, and our bodies are constantly changing. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that like this, when this body becomes totally old and worn out and useless, we take one more body, new body totally. So that leaving this body is called death, and taking one more new body is called birth in our understanding. But actually a spirit soul, I don't die or I don't take birth. Na jayate, na mriyate kadachin. All this experience of birth, death is with the body, not with the spirit soul. It's a very important principle Bhagavad Gita is mentioned. Lord Krishna is mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita. Next, we also understood, okay, if I'm spirit soul, I'm eternal, why am I changing bodies? Why are there different types of bodies? And in every body, why am I going through so much of suffering? Right? So it's a very important question to answer. So basically, I am taking different bodies because I am associating with specific modes of nature. What is modes of nature? Modes of nature is the energy, material energy of Krishna, Maya energy of Krishna. The Maya energy of Krishna is characterized as three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Rajoguna, Sattva-guna, and Tamo-guna. And because of our association with those modes, we are getting different bodies. This is exactly what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Karanam guna sangosya sadasad janma yonishu. Means I am associating with different modes and I am getting different bodies. It's like you contact a virus or some infection. Sooner or later, you will be showing symptoms of that specific disease. So material nature, as spirit soul, we don't have nothing to do with material nature, but I am in contact with material nature's different modes, and because of which I'm getting bodies. And why am I suffering? Because I'm identifying with that body, specific situation, specific body. Give a simple example. In the dream, if you are having a dream of tiger chasing you, a specific situation, you're identifying that, oh, this situation of tiger chasing me is very frightening. And you're running hither and thither and trying to save yourself. So this suffering is what? Is the dream. But somebody who is adjacent to you, you are crying and shouting, save me, tiger is chasing me. But adjacent person is saying, nothing is there. What is this? This person is shouting. But in your dream, you have created a situation and you identified yourself with that situation. That's why suffering is. Which means when you identify with a specific object, person, purpose, or situations, or activities with this body, then you suffer. This is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And we also understood in the previous session, if like this, our life is going on, the main purpose of human life or goal of human life is to come to the point of self-realization. Self-realization means I am identifying myself as body as a self now. I'm not the body, I'm spirit, soul. This body is only a covering, just like Prabhupada gives this example of when you are traveling in a car or any vehicle, you don't identify with the vehicle. The vehicle is only an instrument for you to commute. So likewise, self-realization means to understand who am I actually. I am spirit soul. And further, Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, I am part and parcel of Krishna. This is my actual identity. This is called self-realization. This is the goal of life. So now let's continue with our discussions, taking forward from this point of understanding. Now Prabhupada is going to explain to us why this self-realization is become a sort of a totally oblivious aspect, or people don't even know about it. People are so busy in their own activities. Prabhupada says modern day man is mad after sense gratification. Now a sensible man should consider, since I am spirit soul and my body is simply a covering, is it not possible to end this process of transmigration from body to body? A very important question. This is a very relevant inquiry all of us should ask ourselves. Okay, I have so far understood that I am spirit soul, and this body is only is a dress or a covering. Is it possible that I don't change these bodies again and again? Actually speaking, given an opportunity, nobody would like to die. Nobody would like to get old, right? We'd like to continue. Why? Because that instinct of spirit soul, we are all spirit souls, that instinct of being eternally existing is there in us. But contrary to that, this body is making us to change situations. Body is changing and we are also changing our situations. Constantly these things are happening, fluctuations in our life, right? So this question we should have. This is called a very important, relevant question, right? If I'm eternal, I'm spirit soul, and my body is a covering only, is it possible to end this transmigration from body to body? This is human life, inquiring how to stop the contamination of the material body, which means in the human life, we should have this question. In other forms of life, other than humans, there are so many birds, bees, trees, insects, worms. They can't ask this question. They don't have that ability. Their intelligence is not developed that much, right? This body, in one sense, is a contamination because of which we are suffering. Unfortunately, people in the modern so-called civilization do not ask this question. Okay? People are busy asking so many questions about how to improve my standard of life, standard of living with regard to more money, more comforts, or how to enjoy my senses in a better way. Right? This is what people are busy with right now. But this very important, relevant question is not being asked by even the best of the people right now in this material world. So why it is so? Prabhupada gives the reasoning. He says, they are mad after gratifying the senses of the body, so they act irresponsibly. Very important reason why people are not bothered about their own self as spirit soul and not asking this question is because they are busy in, or other Prabhupada uses the word madness. They're mad, so mad that they are only busy in gratifying their senses. So a mad person will not know what is he actually. He will just act recklessly and irresponsibly. So our situation has become such. A very nice quote from Bhagavatam to, generally whenever Prabhupada used to speak, he used to give references from the scriptures. So Bhagavatam says, Srimad Bhagavatam, again, as I told you, is a Vedic classic, essence of all Vedic scriptures, condensed in a way that is presented in a way that we can understand. So Bhagavatam, one of the teachings, it is mentioned, Nunam pramattaha kurute vikarma Yad indriya pritaya aprunoti na sadhu manye yata atmanoyam asannapi kleshada asadeha. This is Sanskrit. The meaning of this is people who act only for sense gratification and are certainly mad, and they perform all kinds of abominable activities. In this way, they ensure their transmigration from body to body perpetually and thus experience all kinds of miseries. Very nicely, you know, explained about the present situation of life in the modern day context. What are we doing right now? We are just busy or acting only for gratifying our senses. Every sense is demanding different things, and we are just running after like a madman and performing all kinds of abominable activities. Right? And this is what we are right now doing. And this is what is making us to transmigrate from body to body. Let me a little more explain on this point. So basically, what this the particular text of Bhagavatam is explaining us is that we are so busy in our actions right now, which is actually entangling us so much. We have just heard in the previous session that why are we getting bodies? Because we are associating with different modes of nature. When you engage our senses in just gratifying you as a body, not understanding that you are spirit soul, then what happens? You will get entangled. It's like telling when you're diseased and if you don't follow the prescription of the doctor, then what happens? Your disease aggravates. You will never be cured. Right? So likewise, right now, this body, material body, is a contamination or is a disease for us. So long we continue to identify ourselves with the body and just indulge in bodily gratification, it's called sense gratification. Body means senses. Then we are not understanding what is that going on in your life. We become mad. Mad means you don't know what is your actual situation. And because of which we are doing so many abominable activities. Abominable means activities which are not supposed to be done. Right? Just like if you if you use a specific instrument with regard to say mobile is used for communication. No, I will use this to break some stones. It is considered to be madness. Mobile will break off very soon. It is not meant for that purpose. Similarly, we are being misusing, abusing our body for so many things which is not supposed to be done, and that is entangling us. It is what is making us to transmigrate life after life in different bodies. Just see, it's a wonderful scientific explanation, a logical explanation. Next, Prabhupada says, actually speaking, what is this material body we are having? This material body is actually a product of this material world, material nature, and it is giving us always pain. We have to understand the reality of life. We do not understand that the body is always kleshada. It always gives us pain. Right? How it is giving us pain? Prabhupada explains. For the time being, we may feel some pleasure, but actually the body is a reservoir of pain. Right? Some or the other problem, health problem, all of us are going through. Over and above that, there are problems inflicted by material nature, natural calamity. Just like now we are going through cold season. So early morning it is quite cold in North India. We have to always have warm clothes for us. It's a pain. Right? It's not a pleasant weather as of now. Right? After this cold is gone, then we get some pleasant weather in between. Again, we get warm, hot weather. Oh, that is again terrible. So like this, within the body, we are going through many ailments, many diseases, many problems. Externally, the atmosphere, the nature is going through a cyclic process of changing of seasons. And not only that, there are so many other entities who also are troubling us. Mosquito will come and bite you, or you're walking in the street, some dog will chase you, or your neighbor is upset with you. Like this, so many things. So in that way, our whole existence, our life is filled with only miseries, pains, right? So that is what it is. For sometimes you may feel some pleasure, but actually the body is the reservoir of pain. This is exactly what Krishna says. This material life means it is full of miseries, dukkhalayam. Very nice example, analogy Prabhupada gives in this connection. Formerly, when the government officers would want to punish a criminal, they would tie his hands, take him into the middle of a river, and push him down into the water. Right? So they would, like this, they will completely bind him, hands and legs, and put him in the water. And it is quite suffocating, right? When he was almost drowned, they would draw him up from the water by his hair and give him a little rest. You see, even few seconds or a minute or so, you start feeling suffocation because you're not able to breathe, and your hands and legs are tied. You can't even swim. And then again, they would push him down into the water. Right? Little they will pull up with the hair when he's feeling suffocated. Again, they'll put him in the water. So this was one type of punishment. Now you have to understand this, this explanation Prabhupada is giving. This was in the Vedic times, punishment given by the kings for one who has disobeyed the government rules. Right? So that the person understands the gravity of the mistake he has committed. Right? He was put inside the water, and as soon as he feels suffocated, he was little given a some moments of now I'm able to breathe. Oh, I am relieved now. Again, he's put into the water, which means repeatedly like this: pain, pleasure, pain, pleasure. But pleasure is momentary, but mostly it is pain. This is our situation in the material world right now. Prabhupada explains how this body is full of miseries. Similarly, whatever little pleasure we are experiencing in this material world is exactly like the pleasure the criminal would feel when he was drawn up from the water. Right? You're always having problem, but once in a while you feel some relief. Oh, I was going through some health problem. I took good treatment. Now I am happy. But how long is the point? You're aging also. One day we have to leave this body also. What about that? Those problems. So like this. So that momentary relief, for the time being, I am free from problem. This problem was there, it's solved. Oh, what about other problems? This is the point. So this so-called stopgap arrangement of experiencing pleasure, like the criminal who was drowned in the water, our pleasure is like that. But mostly we are in pain. Severe suffering with a few moments of relief. That is what life in the material world is like. Very nicely paraphrased by Prabhupada. Always severe suffering. Maybe once in a while, momentary relief. That is how our life is. And that momentary relief, we feel, oh, so nice life is. We're an illusion. So Prabhupada explains further, only human being can ask this particular question, why am I suffering? Otherwise, if you think suffering is enjoyment, that is our illusion, or we are in a state of complete bewilderment. That is why Sanatana Goswami, who had been a wealthy minister in the Muslim government in India, presented himself to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada always gives anecdotes and from historical references. There is one great personality by name Sanatana Goswami, a great devotee of Lord Krishna, who was earlier minister in the Muslim government in India, in Bengal. So when he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he asked a very specific question, which is relevant for our discussion today. What did he ask? Ke ami kenamai jara tapatrai. He asked, who am I and why am I suffering the threefold miseries? This is intelligence. Right? So we just now understood this material world or this material body means only suffering. that momentary relief for some time is we are taking it as pleasure. So Prabhupada is explaining this aspect of why am I suffering? Why am I going through so much of painful situation? This particular question of why am I suffering will come only in a human being, which means if you're not a human being, this question will not even come to you. You may have a human form, but your intelligence is become so dull because we are mad after sense gratification. So these very relevant questions were asked, two questions. Who am I? And why am I suffering the threefold miseries? We are constantly undergoing some sort of distress, whether caused by the body and mind, right? Diseases, anxieties, depression, or inflicted by other living entities. I give example of mosquito, dogs, or neighbors, or somebody has put a legal case on you, or brought about by natural disturbances, heat, cold, intense, weather extremities, or rain, heavy rainfall, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, like this. So calamity, we see placed or they become disturbed. Nobody says that, okay, let the cyclone come tomorrow. The cyclone comes, government is giving alerts to everybody in that area. Please, you relocate yourself, you be very careful and take all the precautionary measures. There'll be heavy rainfall now. Like this, government is trying to alert. Nobody wants such miseries, right? Everybody wants to be and happy. But thing is, much against our wish, it is happening. Why am I suffering? Why are these threefold miseries? Threefold means misery pertaining to body, mind. That is one. Secondly, miseries from other living entities. Number two. Number three is miseries from natural calamities. They are called tapa traya. Tapa means painful. Traya means three. Threefold miseries they are. Next, Prabhupada says very nicely. So this particular aspect of why am I suffering? This sense of awakening or relevance to our life will come when you accept a spiritual master. And the first question should be, why am I suffering? So Prabhupada is bringing in a very wonderful principle now, concept. Unless you have awakened to some spiritual understanding and approach a spiritual master, this is not possible. Which means that sense of awakening with regard to what is all happening to me, what is the solution for these problems, should at least come in our consciousness. Otherwise, if we go on like any other entity in this material world, then this question will never come. So accepting a spiritual master means you are on the path of journey of awakening or journey of self-realization. The first question should be asked to spiritual master is, why am I suffering? Right? But we have become so dull like the animals that we never ask this question. Right? Animals don't have this sense of developed consciousness. And because of which such questions are not coming, because they are mad after, animals also are mad after sense gratification. Likewise, we have become dull like animals. And we are not asking this question at all. Animals are suffering, everyone knows this, but they cannot ask why. Very important point Prabhupada is saying. Even animals are experiencing all the miseries, but they don't have that ability to ask this question, why am I suffering? What is the solution for this? Very nice example Prabhupada gives. When an animal is being taken to the slaughterhouse, he cannot ask, why am I being taken by force to the slaughterhouse? Right? It can't protest, it can't rebel, it can't do anything. But if you take a human being to be killed, he'll make a great noise. This man is taking me to be killed. Why am I being killed? Right? The recent news, we have been seeing how in Syria, it's a great prison, that's what news says. A great prison wherein they were all, so many rebels, citizens who were all rebelling against the existing government. They were all kept imprisoned there for years together. And people are questioning why. And people inside the prison want to come out, be released. Right? Human being can ask these things. Human can ask, why? I don't want suffering, but why are you inflicting suffering on me? I want to be free. So, Prabhupada says, one important distinction between human life and animal life is that only the human being can ask, why am I suffering? It's a major distinguishing factor between human life and animal life. If the human doesn't ask this question, why am I suffering? Is there any solution for this? Who am I actually? So these questions don't come. Then you remain on the animal platform. Now Prabhupada explains the important further elaboration on this aspect of human life versus animal life. Whether you are President Nixon or a man in the street, you are suffering. That's the fact. See, always Prabhupada would have relevant, personalities as examples being quoted in whichever situation or whichever place or country he was in. Now, Prabhupada is giving a lecture in America. You can see he's quoting the first citizen of America, the president. At that time, President Nixon was the head of the whole country. So he's saying whether you are President Nixon or a common citizen on the street, everybody is suffering. Not that, oh, President Nixon become president means you'll not suffer, you'll not go through sufferings. Right? 3 types of sufferings, remember again. Suffering from the body, mind, suffering due to other living entities, and suffering inflicted by natural calamities. Either it is President Nixon or the top person in the country, or a common citizen, everybody will go through sufferings. Right? That's the point. So the fact is that all of us are going through sufferings. You are suffering on account of your body, and you are doing something that will cause you to accept another material body. Right? The whole cycle, vicious cycle, what is going on is, right now I am suffering because of this body, and I am doing something else which is further complicating me and getting one more body like this. I am not thinking, how can I stop this suffering? And I don't want to get this body is the cause of suffering. And this question is not coming up. You are suffering because in your past life, you indulged in sense gratification and got a body according to karma. And if you engage in sense gratification in this life and do not try to elevate yourself, you will again get a body and suffer. This is what is happening right now. Right? I give the example of how you're diseased, and if you don't follow doctor's prescription of medicine and treatment and diet, then it will only aggravate your disease. Suffering will continue. The intensity of suffering will further increase. That's what is happening in this life. This life is we have got because of our previous indulgence in gratifying our senses. And in this life, if I don't stop sense gratification and continue with sense gratification, I'm creating one more new body and suffer further. That is what is happening. Very nicely, logically, Prabhupada is explaining. Should understand. Should see how. So actually, they're all very complicated topics with regard to these Vedic scriptures, but these are being presented in such a simple manner for a common man like us, and presented in a way that we can all appreciate this aspect. By nature's way, you will get another body according to the mentality you have at the time of death. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that whatever mentality you have at the time of death, that body you'll get definitely. So this life, I've been living a life of gratifying my senses, maybe like an animal or a bird or whatever in other species of life. Then Krishna will give you one more body, the whatever mentality you have. Somebody is very, he's taking a lot of interest in eating fresh meat and drink blood. Okay, this human body is not suitable for you. You get a body of a tiger or some other animal who is enjoying, flesh like that. So like this, at the time of death, Whatever mentality you have, you'll get next body. And this is going on life after life. And as soon as you get another body, your suffering will begin again. One more new chapter and one more new suffering. The suffering will continue in whatever way it is. Right? This is what is happening with us in our life. It is a conditioned life going on life after life for many millions of births. Even in the womb of the mother, you will suffer. To remain in that compact bag for so many months, hands and legs all tied up, unable to move, this is suffering. The Bhagavatam explains that the four major problems of all of us is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age and disease. Right? We can easily understand old age is a problem, yes. And disease, yes, definitely is a problem. And death, of course, is a big problem. We don't want to die. But how is birth problem? Bhagavatam explains very graphically, very vividly, that in the womb of the mother, you are there for 9 months, and all of us have this experience of being in the womb of 9 months, but we have forgotten that. That Prabhupada is saying that in a compact place, say if you are put within a plastic bag, you can't even stay there for 2 minutes. You'll feel suffocated. So our situation for 9 months is like that. Actually, we have gone through a lot of suffering before birth. Right? So this, even Prabhupada says, even in the womb of the mother, we suffer. So even this whole process of birth also is suffering. And nowadays, there is also a risk of being killed in the womb. There are countries who want that abortion should be legalized. Why abortion? Because I just want to enjoy sex life. I don't want to take responsibility, which means the child in the womb can't even see the light. Right? Suffering. Repeatedly suffering. And when you come out, more suffering. This is so nicely Prabhupada explaining this. So we should be intelligent enough to ask, why am I suffering? And how can I stop this suffering? This is a distinction between human life and animal life. And this intelligent question is what Sanatana Goswami asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why am I suffering? How can I stop this suffering? And until we ask, why am I suffering? Our human life has not begun. We remain animals. Very, to the point, Prabhupada is making a very bold statement in one sense. If you don't ask this question, why am I suffering? Our human life has not even begun. Right? You may pose or you may say, oh, I'm having a body of a human being. I have a form of a human. No, your intelligence is not awakened. Your understanding is not come to that point of development. You remain. Sometimes we see children are born, but because of some cognitive problems, their brain is not developed and their actions are like a small kid, even though they are grown up 15 years, 20 years. Like that, from the Bhagavatam perspective, Vedic scriptures perspective, human being means he has developed consciousness, developed intelligence. He's supposed to ask this question, why am I suffering? If this question doesn't come, you go on living a life like any other entity, busy with 4 activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Then Bhagavatam says, you are no better than an animal. This is called bodily concept of life. In the bodily conception of life, we go on, I'm getting nice food, I can eat and sleep nicely, I can enjoy my senses nicely, just little protection, over, life is over. No purpose in life. No sublime goal in life. So Prabhupada says, what's going on right now with that? Because we are not asking this question. We are going through what is known as struggle for existence. Asking about the ultimate cause of our suffering is called Brahma Jigyasa, inquiry into the absolute truth. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. When you ask this question, about why am I suffering, who am I, what are these miseries I'm experiencing day in and day out. This inquiry is called Brahma Jigyasa, or what is actually absolute truth. What am I? Why am I here? As it is said in the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Having gotten the human form of life, one should inquire into Brahman, the absolute truth. This is the beginning of the Vedic understanding. Now, human life you have got should inquire about your self. And we'll be talking about self-realization, self and the bodies. I am not the body, I am self, spirit self. Right? You should understand, who am I actually? I'm not the body, then who am I? This question has to come. So we should take advantage of the human form of life. So human form of life is meant for that purpose. If we don't use this opportunity, then we are misusing. Bhagavatam says, Prahlad Maharaj, one of the great devotees, he says in Bhagavatam, Durlabham Manusham Janma. This human life is rarely obtained. And when it is obtained, use it for self-realization. Adhruvam Arthadam, he says. He says, even though it is temporary, you can meaningfully, purposefully use it. If you don't use it that way, you are misusing the human form of life, and again, you will go through the cycle of birth and death. Again, when you will get human life, we don't know. This is a big risk we are running. So that's why the scriptures and all the great teachers, spiritual teachers are giving us again and again warnings and telling us in different ways, don't misuse your human life. Because it is rarely obtained. Durlabham means after a lot of cycle of birth and death, evolutionary cycle, we have got is human life. Don't misuse it. It's like you get a very valuable thing after a lot of hard work. If you lose it, then all the hard work is waste. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Right? Like this becomes, oh, I have worked hard, but everything is gone. You have earned all, like nowadays there's a lot of cyber scams, right? Cyber attacks, right? Hard-earned money of a person, whole life he has earned he has made savings, and that is within no time, within few minutes, the cyber frauds are taking away that money. You'll feel so dejected, so disappointed. That's what is happening right now. So with us, we are misusing our human life. And that is what scriptures point out. Should not misuse, rather we should take advantage of the human form of life. We should not live like animals without any inquiry into the absolute truth, without trying to find out how to stop our miserable material life. It's a big direction from the scriptures. Simply animal life means eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Just busy with that? No, that is not human life. If you continue, then you will continue your existence here. Human life is meant to liberate ourselves. Of course, we are actually trying to stop our own miseries. We're working so hard in the struggle for existence. All of us are trying our best, working very hard. And the struggle for existence means I have to exist, I have to go on, life has to go on, I have to live. All this is there. But the problem is the temporary miseries you're trying to resolve. The permanent miseries, nobody is concerned, nobody is bothered. Why do we try to get money? Because we think if I get money, my distress will be mitigated. Anybody who asks, why are you earning? We get money. Why? My problem, roti, kapda, makan. This problem has to be solved. So the struggle for existence is going on, and everyone is trying to become happy by getting sense gratification. The struggle for existence means I should live on. I should go on in my life, and I should go on enjoying my senses. That's what every entity is doing here. Struggling to exist. Of course, we as spirit souls, we are eternally existing. But in the material world, we are imprisoned in this body and we are struggling to exist. And all of us are trying to enjoy senses. Some enjoyment, some enjoyment. So in this struggle, I get some relief. For example, Prabhupada gave analogy of how a prisoner in the olden days, how he was punished. So likewise, we are only busy with our so-called temporary, momentary relief. And we are taking that to be, very great achievement. This is what is happening right now. Okay. So Prabhupada further, comes to the point of this type of material happiness which you are experiencing by sense gratification is not ultimate. It is something of this spirit has real spirit that we have to experience. Sense gratification is not real happiness. Every entity's gratification is entangling you. It's not real happiness. Real happiness is spiritual happiness. Serving Krishna. That is happiness. So Prabhupada very plainly is telling, you just serve Krishna, you will get real happiness. Same body you can use for Krishna's service. Material happiness is simply perverted happiness. Perverted happiness, Prabhupada explains. Material happiness is like the mirage of water in the desert. In the desert, it looks like at a far distance there is some water body. It's called mirage. Right? But when you go there, there's no water. Material happiness is like that. Oh, this I do, I'll get happiness. Oh, you just struggle so much. But actually, when you reach that point, no happiness. Or you expected a mountain of happiness. You ended up with a mustard seed of happiness. Oh, so much hype was there about this. But finally, what I'm experiencing? This is true with any material happiness. Our expectations, our aspirations with regard to any enjoyment is like, oh, I'm going to enjoy. But finally, what you're going to experience, enjoy is minuscule. And that too, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, it's going to end. It has a beginning and an end. Whereas spiritual happiness is eternal, unending. That's what we are hankering for. So Prabhupada explains further. In the desert, there is no water, but when a thirsty animal sees the mirage of water in the desert, he runs after it and dies. That's what we are all doing. The material world, there is no happiness, but we are trying to run behind happiness, which is not there. We know that there is no water in the desert, but the water is just a reflection of the sunshine. But animals do not know this. We all become animals in the material world, chasing after sense gratification. That's why in the beginning we discussed how we are all mad of looking for happiness through sense gratification, which is just like a mirage in the desert. And to try, and which is just like a mirage in the desert, and to try for spiritual happiness. Very wonderfully, Prabhupada is telling that human life is not to search after this illusory, hallucinatory happiness, which is never going to get, right? Better is to seek spiritual happiness, which is actually real happiness. So Prabhupada concludes this today's session, the lecture, in fact. He says how to purify our heart and how to awaken our spiritual happiness. Because we have understood so far that we as spirit souls are eternal. Our body is actually circumstantial for us. And because of this body, we are suffering, continuing existence and life after life in bodies. And we're entangled in vicious karma. So how to entangle ourselves? Right? We're trying to indulge in our gratifying of our senses, more we are getting entangled. So scriptures say we should actually senses in a better way. That is serving Krishna. And how to consciousness that this is what is the right path, how to purify our heart. Prabhupada gives a very wonderful solution, very wonderful way out. We can awaken to this higher happiness simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. One stroke, Prabhupada gives a very as per the scriptures. You can experience that you are not this body. Who am I? I am not this body, spirit, soul. And how to stop this suffering? How to come to happiness? Simply Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have to regularly chant this mantra. So we'll resume. So basically, Prabhupada is giving us a very simple solution how to come out of this suffering. Our suffering can be mitigated simply by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Prabhupada says. Right? So, Prabhupada further says, simply as I was discussing, sometimes we think, oh, we are so, we have a lot of big problems, complicated problems. How to come out of these complications? We should have complicated solutions. No. That's how our general perception is. Our general understanding is. But Prabhupada says, no, it is made very simple in this present day age. Simply chant Hare Krishna. You will be free from all miseries, all problems. Our suffering is caused by the many dirty things within our heart. Right now, why are we suffering? Because we have a lot of misconceptions, misunderstandings, misapprehensions, wrong, understanding about this material world. It's called dirty things. Now, what is the biggest dirty thing? I am spirit soul. This is the biggest dirty thing in our heart. We are just like a criminal who has dirty things within his heart. So all of us are carrying a lot of misunderstandings about ourselves. The biggest misconception is, I am the body. Right? Based on this wrong understanding, dirty thing, we are doing so many other things, which is all complicating our life. Prabhupada is very nicely telling here that we are just like a criminal who has dirty things within the heart, and we are continuing our actions in a way that we are entangling ourselves and putting ourselves in great suffering. He thinks, if I get such and such a thing, I'll be happy. And at the risk of his life, he commits a crime. Very nice understanding Prabhupada is giving. We have become like a criminal. Why? Because criminal is just, he wants to indulge in gratifying his senses, and he just doesn't matter whether I'm going to get imprisoned or I'm going to get punished or whatever it is. It doesn't bother for him. Just, I want this indulgence, sense gratification. Every day newspapers only give this news. Like this crime was done, some stealing was done, this woman was raped. Oh, why? Because people are just become like, no, they just want to indulge in the gratification at that moment. And at the risk of his life, somebody commits crime. A burglar, a thief knows that if he's captured by the police, he'll be punished. But still he goes and steals. Why? Because madness for sense gratification. Why? Because nunam pramattaha, he has become mad after sense gratification. That's all. So we have to purify our hearts of our dirty desires, which are forcing us to act for sense gratification and suffer. Very nicely, Prabhupada is analyzing and coming to the actual point. Our madness is why? Because We are just want to indulge in sense gratification, so much so that even at the risk of our own life, this is the dirtiness in our heart. We have become like criminals, and we are suffering. And this dirtiness in our heart and this age purification is very, very easy. Just chant Hare Krishna, that's all. It's what Prabhupada is telling us here very nicely. And just every day chant this Hare Krishna mantra. That is going to purify your heart. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's contribution, biggest contribution is he gave this Maha mantra to us. He said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam. If you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you will be relieved of the suffering caused by transmigration perpetually from body to body. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. It is Lord Krishna himself as an incarnation in this age of Kali Yuga, wherein he came to propagate this chanting of the holy names, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And he said, simply chant Hare Krishna mantra. So what happens? You will be relieved of all of the suffering. Biggest suffering is we have to change our bodies and we are transmigrating from body to body. That will be stopped. And chanting is such a simple thing. Anytime, anywhere, any place, any situation, you can simply sit and chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And there's no question of caste, creed, nationality, color, social position. No. Limitations or restrictions. Anybody, anywhere can chant the holy name without any problem. Because all of us have the faculty of tongue and ears by the grace of God. Each of us have this facility, right, of speaking and hearing. Tongue and ears have been given. So use this opportunity because God has given them use for his service. So everyone can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. See, so Prabhupada, with this, he concludes his lecture. So we conclude this session on this topic, the self and the bodies. And I request all of you to please write your questions in the comment box and we'll answer them accordingly. Okay, so thank you for all of us. Thank you for all of you for participating in this session. We'll come up with a new topic next session again. Thank you. Hare Krishna.